Welcome to this session on creating resilient, peaceful, and eco-feminist communities through strategic religious action. Very happy to have you all here. If I can get my computer to respond, there we go. Here is an overview of the session agenda today. First, we'll have introductions and an overview, which is what I'm doing now. My name is Karen Hain. I'm a consultant, but I'm also on the European board of the Faith to Action Network and have been involved with Faith to Action Network from the very beginning, in fact, from before it existed. The first speaker today will be Ms. Judy Amoki, who will be presenting the Joint Initiative for Strategic Religious Action, followed by Mr. Yilma Herpa, who is I'll introduce properly in a bit, but he will be presenting the Jizra peace-building work in Dodola, Ethiopia. Ms. Henning Parlan will follow Mr. Herpa, and she will present the award-winning Eco-Binica Muhammadiyah program in Indonesia. And last but by no means least, Ms. Martine Miller will present some of her research on eco-feminist strategies in Afghanistan, Tibet, Burma, Yemen, and Sudan. Then we'll have a final question and answer session and wrap up. During the course of these presentations, you'll be presented with specific questions. So pay attention. We hope that you'll learn during the course of the presentations, what is freedom of religion and belief, or freedom of religion or belief? How can communities deeply divided by conflict find common ground and build lasting peace? What role do leaders, faith and non-faith, play in bridging divides and inspiring unity in times of crisis? Can the lessons learned from one community's journey toward peace be applied to other conflict-prone areas? How does multi-faith collaboration enhance community resilience in Eco-Binica Muhammadiyah? What role does ecofeminism play in promoting sustainability within multi-faith actions? And how does the Eco-Binica Muhammadiyah approach foster peaceful coexistence among diverse religious groups? But the first question is a pop quiz for you. Which one of these do you feel like today? Are you a sleepy puppy? Are you an obstinate penguin? Are you a zen frog? Are you an inquisitive owl? How about an eager orangutan? Or an amused sheep? Or are you just here to meet people and make connections? Put your answer in the chat and let us know. Let us know something about you, where you're from, and why you feel like that today. So we have a sheep. Sorry, I'm having trouble manipulating the screen. A sheep, an owl, some bears. Frog. Oh, that's nice, Martine. Very zen. And an obstinate penguin all the way from Cameroon. Wonderful. All right. Thanks, everyone. I should be a sleepy puppy. I love puppies. All right. Now I'm sorry, my computer's not entirely responsive this morning. So our first speaker today will be Ms. Judy Amoki. She's head of programs at Faith to Action Network. For 13 years, she has spearheaded high impact and complex evidence-based development projects with technical competencies in gender and social inclusion, sexual and reproductive health and rights, and monitoring and evaluation. Judy has worked for UK Aid Direct Fund, Save the Children, and UNDP in Somalia. She holds a master's degree in public administration from the University of York and is a certified program management specialist. I'm going to take this moment to thank you also, Ms. Farida Abdul Basit, who is Faith to Action Network's Peace Building Program Coordinator. Farida was she prepared the presentation that Judy will present, and she was originally going to be our speaker today. Unfortunately, due to a death in the family, she wasn't able to participate. Based in Kenya, Farida manages the Jizra program in Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Indonesia. Judy will be followed by Mr. Yilma Herpa. He works with the Ethiopia Interfaith Forum for Development, Dialogue, and Action, and is Jizra project coordinator in Ethiopia. For more than a decade, Mr. Herpa has managed programs and projects in peace building, promoting human rights, sexual reproductive health, and child education. He has provided technical support to diverse faith-based organizations and built a team to accomplish projects that included building community resilience in Eastern Ethiopia, keeping girls in school, and women economic empowerment. Mr. Herpa has a certificate from the COFP Fellowship Program on Interreligious Dialogue, Conflict Transformation, and Mediation. He has been certified and recognized as an IEP Ambassador of Peace, and he's participated in a global exchange on religion in society held in Belgium. Ms. Henning Parlin will follow Yilma, and Ms. Parlin is director of the Ecofeminism Muhammadiyah Jizra program. She's national coordinator of Green Faith Indonesia, a multi-faith organization based in New York, and vice chair of Muhammadiyah Environmental Council and vice chair of Environment and Disaster Management Unit of AISIA. And last but by no means least, as I mentioned, is Ms. Martine Miller. She is the incoming president of the International Center for Religion and Diplomacy. She is a conflict transformation specialist with over 25 years experience with communities, governments, regional bodies, UN agencies, a range of inter and national non-governmental organizations and academic institutions. Her work has engaged her in fluid war to post-war reconstruction contexts in over 80 countries across Africa, Central to Southeast Asia and the Pacific, the Middle East, and North Africa, Europe, North and South America. She is specialized in inclusion, geopolitical, environment, and climate change dynamics in conflicts. With that, I will hand the session over to Ms. Judy Amoki.
Thank you so much, Karen, for setting us off with this session. I'm looking forward to sharing a bit more information about the GISRA program and about Faith to Action Network, even as we set the stage for the rest of the presenters today. Kindly let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, we see. Thank you. Yes, we see your full screen. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Just to give you a bit of background about Faith to Action Network, we are an interfaith network operating with about 200 plus members and partner institutions in Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Our partner institutions also happen to be network organizations, and they have a total reach of over 1,000 faith institutions in over 134 countries. Our network is open to all religions, including Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Baha'i, and Confucius, as well as African traditional religions. We believe in respecting all forms of faith, and our vision is really a world in which interfaith collaboration advances healthy, inclusive, just, and peaceful communities. And to achieve this vision, we mobilize faith actors from these different countries through interfaith dialogues and collaboration to advance family health and well-being, women's rights and gender justice, and peaceful, just, and inclusive communities. We are implementing a program known as the GISRA program, which in full is the Joint Initiative for Strategic Religious Action. The ultimate goal of this GISRA program is for really peaceful, just, and societies where they can all enjoy freedom of religion and belief. And we are looking at a long-term impact of having these resilient and inclusive faith communities where religious actors, including religious leaders, including other religious players and as well as community actors, are sustainable advocates for freedom of religion and belief and building interfaith peace. The GISRA program is implemented in Ethiopia, Indonesia, Kenya, and Uganda. And that is where some of our partners are here to just share their journey, to share their experiences, to share their lessons learned, to share the strategies that they have used in promoting this freedom of religion and belief and building bridges between different faith communities. So you might be asking yourself, what then is freedom of religion and belief, FOB, as it's commonly known. FOB is actually enshrined within the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Most people are not aware of this. And the freedom of religion and belief really says that everyone, regardless of their age, regardless of their gender, regardless of their religion or context or geographical location, has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And you might then be asking, so what is the difference between religion and belief? Religion is a collection of cultural systems, belief systems, and worldviews that relate humanity to spirituality and can sometimes be used as the basis of moral values. On the other hand, belief is a state of mind when we consider something to be true, even if we do not have the tangibility to be able to prove it, or that we're not 100% sure. So the key principles of freedom of religion and belief is we are free to adopt, to change, or renounce a religion or belief based on our own preferences, that we are free from coercion towards one certain religion, and that either in communities with others or alone, or in public or in private spaces, we have the freedom to be able to manifest our religion or belief in teachings, practices, worship, and observance. Within the GISRA program, we promote FOB through different strategies and through different approaches. We promote religious pluralism and social harmony, focusing mainly on social cohesion and inclusivity, bringing religious leaders and community members, including women, youth, including local authorities, together to jointly come up with strategies and approaches on conflict mediation, conflict prevention, and resolution. And we use approaches such as dialogues and understanding that are enshrined within freedom of religion and belief. And we challenge harmful traditional practices. We challenge discrimination. We challenge norms using inclusive religious teachings. And we implement different educational initiatives and using through faith literacy platforms to ensure that there is participation, and not just participation, meaningful participation of religious communities in jointly working to promote freedom of religion and belief. And we believe in the promotion of shared values within the social actors that we're working with. And we work with social actors, including women, including youth, religious leaders, community members, and local authorities. Our theory of change, therefore, focuses on three main pathways. We work within religious communities, and that's the pathway known as the intra-religious communities, where we are working with different religious actors to challenge harmful discriminatory norms, extremist tendencies, and hate towards others. We focus our efforts on tackling harmful practices and promoting access to justice for marginalized women, while also fostering the inclusion of minority religious groups, such as the Shia and Ahmadiyya in Indonesia. We aim to instill inclusive and tolerant attitudes within religious actors and communities by supporting community-led actions against harmful practices, including gender-based violence. Additionally, we're emphasizing the need and importance for faith literacy, and we're working to demystify misinterpreted religious teachings and practices, and therefore ensuring a more informed and equitable society. Then our third pathway is on the interreligious pathway, which mainly looks at building bridges between religious communities. And to do this, we facilitate and strengthen the bridges by encouraging interreligious action and addressing common grievances. We work to promote peaceful coexistence between these different and diverse and dynamic faith groups by encouraging collaborative efforts that are mainly geared around issues that are affecting their communities. And these efforts are initiated by the religious actors themselves. So we engage in interfaith actions that can help in establishing a long-lasting culture of cooperation, therefore fostering freedom of religion and belief, but at the same time addressing grievances to ensure peaceful coexistence. We increase the awareness, understanding, and tolerance of different religions. Like I've said, we're working between religious communities, and what we're aiming to do is to seek to reduce the violence in the community and encourage people to engage with and appreciate various faiths rather than resorting to conflict between them. At the extra-religious pathway, which is between religious actors and the duty bearers, such as local authorities, we're engaging with both local, national, and international authorities to make state action towards religious freedom and making sure that policies and practices by authorities, by duty bearers, by security actors are more effective and challenge divisive policies and practices. Excuse me. We focus then on influencing national and state laws, policies, and security practices that are affecting the minorities. And in these spaces with duty bearers and these local authorities and national authorities, we are emphasizing the critical role that religious leaders are playing in voicing the needs of the communities. We work therefore with the religious leaders in participating in policy and decision-making spaces, but also building their capacity to be able to hold duty bearers accountable for the safeguarding of freedom of religion and belief. And then we have one pathway that is cross-cutting. Within all the work that we're doing, we're making sure that we have meaningful representation of women and youth. And we strengthen the capacities of CSOs that are working in lobbying and advocacy as well in the communities that we are. And by showcasing the different challenges, experiences that women pursue in the pursuit of gender equality and empowerment, linking it to freedom of belief, freedom of religion and belief, we're able to then highlight the importance of their involvement in processes such as conflict mediation and resolution, in peace building, in challenging these harmful norms and practices within their communities. We also believe in the power of young people. We believe in engaging them to drive positive change. We believe in bringing them on board in decision-making processes and recognize the vital role that they play in shaping our communities. And so our overall aim is to directly empower women and youth to participate in decision-making structures and to sensitize the current power holders of the added value of working with them. GISRA is a 5-year program, and in our journey so far, we've had an amazing amount of successes and changes that we've witnessed at the community. In Ethiopia so far, and Yilma will be talking about this later on, the program has led to the creation of an inter-regional advocacy network group, which is uniting faith leaders and government departments for conflict prevention and resolution. The faith leaders are working together with these government departments, making sure that there's mainstreaming of freedom of religion and belief when they're responding to conflicts that are emerging within communities. In Indonesia, Muhammadiyah is implementing a program that it's known as Eco-Feminist, and it's an inclusive and coordinated approach that is promoting interfaith diversity and promoting freedom of religion and belief while addressing environmental challenges that are reducing the impact of environmental challenges in Indonesia. And they're finding common shared values of preserving the environment and therefore preventing conflict. In Kenya, where there have been dynamic political events even happening in the last few months, religious diversity and security concerns continue to present themselves as a challenge. And the GISRA program is working with religious leaders to address these societal issues. The program is examining political dynamics and advocacy for equal rights, and especially those of marginalized groups. And finally, in Uganda, a nation that has so much religious diversity, we're empowering faith actors to challenge harmful norms. to focus on gender equality and justice. And we're doing this through awareness campaigns and conflict resolution efforts at the community level. I'm going to stop my presentation at that time and invite Yilma if he's ready to continue with the conversation.
Thank you, Judy. Yeah, I'm ready. Let me share my PowerPoint presentation.
While you do that, I'll just say it's nice to see you. Thank you for turning on your camera.
Yes, because it's my turn to present now.
Yes.
So, shall I share my presentation PowerPoint with you in the
Please do. Yes. Yes, please.
So that you can share. Okay, give me just a minute. So I drop in the you can check your I think let me share with you WhatsApp, yeah.
Do you want me to try to do it?
No, I'm not able to do that because it says
okay.
you can't.
Okay, I'll share your. Do you want me to share your PowerPoint for you, Yilma?
Yes, please. You have
okay.
it. You have.
I have it. I have one you sent me. I hope it's the correct one. I'm happy to share it. How is that? Okay. Can everyone see the PowerPoint? Yes, good.
Right. So yeah, from the beginning, let me just start by introducing the topic of my presentation. That would be transforming conflict in Dodola. This is from the GISRA project success stories, and I'm trying to present the best practices, the success and key learnings where GISRA project really achieved here in Ethiopia. Next slide. So as you can see here, the outlines, I will try just to give you an overview of Ethiopian complex conflict contexts and its diverse religious landscapes. And I will try to highlight the coexistence of various faith community and regional tensions. Judy has said a lot about the GISRA project, and I will try just to focus what it means for Ethiopian case. The success story is about how GISRA sustained peace dialogue has transformed conflict context in Dodola, which is one of the GISRA project area in Oromia region. And some best practices, I will share effective strategies employed in the project that contributed to the success. We'll also share some identified key elements that drove the project's achievement, and also key learnings that provide insights gained from the project that can inform future peace building efforts. Next. So just to begin with Ethiopia context, Ethiopia, have long history of peaceful coexistence with inter-religious relation grounded in tolerance. However, despite such historical background, in recent times, especially the last 2-3 decades, rising religious freedom violations have fueled conflicts, intolerance, and social strain, where women and youth often excluded from key freedom of religion and belief efforts in the country. So as a response to this context, in Ethiopia, faith actors are uniting through an interfaith initiative that is a joint strategic religious action in Ethiopia, targeting conflict-prone areas to promote peace and understanding across Ethiopians diverse communities. So Ethiopia religious composition, this is very important in a country like Ethiopia, where you can get, over 97% of the population believers of one or the other religion. There is no better way to engage in building peace and promoting freedom of religion and belief through interreligious strategic actions. So GISRA is very important in our context, given that the composition, the followers of the population is either Christian or Muslim, or their traditional belief bias as well there. Next slide, please. Yeah, with regard to the GISRA project in Ethiopia, Ethiopia is one of implementing country. It was launched in May 2021 in Ethiopia. The GISRA project is an interfaith partnership involving the Orthodox Christian, the Muslim, the Protestant, the Catholics, the Baha'is, and practitioners of traditional beliefs as well, aimed at fostering peaceful and just society where all enjoys freedom of religion and belief. This project intends to utilize a positive power of religious leaders and faith actors, women of faith, interfaith youth groups, thereby contributing to the prevention and resolution of extra religious challenges in the country. 11 GISRA consortium partner, all are faith-based one. Yeah, we have been building the capacity of the main influencer opinion leaders in Ethiopia, raising awareness on different topics, important topics, mobilize faith communities as well as non-faith communities, engaging with the government, the media, and the CSOs as well. So this is a brief background about GISRA in Ethiopia. When you look at the objective of GISRA in Ethiopia, it facilitates open communication between different faith groups, prevent conflicts by resolving tension early before it expands, build trust and mutual among communities, and ensure equal participation and representation of all the religious identities. And GISRA in Ethiopia approach engage directly with local community to address their specific needs, collaborate with faith leaders, NGOs, and government bodies to implement strategies, and focus on long-term peace building through sustained dialogue and cooperation. And the scope, we operate in Ethiopia across different regions where there is, conflicts and tensions based on ethnic or religious identities. Next. So among the different areas, I'm trying to focus on a case story that really garnered our interest to present here, a Dodola case story. And just for your information, Dodola is a town in Ethiopia, Oromia region with the West RC zone, has an estimated population of 50,000, 50, and known for religious diversity, with Muslim and Christian communities. As a gateway to Bali Mountains, it attracts visitors for the biodiversity and trekking routes. The town economy revolves around agriculture, particularly farming and livestock. So Dodola, Ethiopia, if you look at the context, the last decade or more than a decade, Dodola faced a significant challenge due to complex interplay of factors fueling ongoing violence and conflicts. So if you look at the historical tensions, Dodola has long been like long-standing ethnic and religious tension, had created deep-seated hostilities within the community during the last 8 years before the GISRA intervention. Historical grievances and mistrust between different groups exacerbated the likelihood of the conflict. With the communication in Dodola, there have been limited platforms for open dialogue between conflicting groups, led to fostering misunderstanding and grievances, and it really escalating the violence in many times. With regard to political and economic stability, the Dodola region, that's the Warada, political and economic stability contributed to volatility and heightened community frustration. Fragmented leadership in Dodola, the absence of cohesive and representative leadership created gaps in conflict resolution efforts, making it difficult to address issues comprehensively and collaboratively. There is also external influences in Dodola from neighboring zones, woredas, districts. So similar plagued by conflict often had spillover effects, and that really increases tension and creating a cycle of violence that extended into Dodola. So among the various factors that makes Dodola, volatile or fragile in a conflict and tension, these are the major ones. Despite such happening over the last decade, however, Dodola has now become a significant hub for interfaith harmony. Next slide, please. Thanks to the GISRA project that fostered a culture of dialogue, which transformed violence into peaceful solution. Next slide.
Yes, sorry, I'm trying. There we go.
Okay, yeah, here is it, yeah. So GISRA project transformed violence into peaceful solution in these Dodola areas and other project areas in Ethiopia. It prevents conflicts from spreading from neighboring districts where GISRA is not attractive. So GISRA is active in Dodola, but there is other places that GISRA is not working. And the project has led to increasing effort in promoting, peaceful coexistence and fostering dialogue between its diverse Muslim and Christian. So there are key strategies addressing, such tensions and conflicts divides in Dodola. One is, GISRA has enabled, communication channel to be established and functional. And in this regard, GISRA focus on strengthening community relations through regular interfaith dialogues, where religious leaders, traditional leaders, government representatives meet in a separate groups monthly, while women of faith and interfaith hold their own monthly discussions separately. These ongoing efforts have helped, foster deep understanding and unity within the community. The other key strategy is, we empowered or provide trainings for prime advocates for peace and for in Dodola and other project areas, especially focusing on religious leaders, women of faith champions, youth champions, on different topics for resolution, conflict resolution and mediation, and even promoting for and different topics were provided. We have created sustained dialogue groups. This is a very important strategy as well to ensure that conflicts are not expanding even from different zones like the previous years where GISRA is not active. So through sustained peace dialogue, ongoing dialogue groups to collaboratively address and resolve issues. The other strategy, through collaboration, through dialogues, building trust across divides is very important strategies that were employed to enhance understanding between different religious ethnic communities so that, open discussion is facilitated. There have been also supporting collaborative efforts among these different groups in Dodola. So joint initiative and action that promote cooperation have been in place. And last but not least, we have also ensured, ownership, which also, ensures sustainability. Without even GISRA, this group will continue conducting dialogue through time so that, they can prevent the conflicts, any tension that would come surfaced in Dodola. These are the key strategies we've applied. With regard to the accomplishment through these strategies, one is the reduction in violence. Achievement include a notable decrease in violence clashes in Dodola, with a structured dialogue and trust building efforts contributing to a more peaceful environment. Successful conflict resolution were also achieved. Dialogue group effectively addressed critical issues, preventing conflict spillover from neighboring districts not covered by GISRA. This achievement has resolved tensions that previously fueled conflicts, contribute to a more stable and harmonious environment. And other zones has also, now currently requesting, the implementation of this TISRA project in their zones, and Dodula has now become, a model for peace building and sustained dialogue and in community engagement. And next, please. Yeah, the best practices mostly mentioned earlier, and there is a learning that we can take from here. One is, we have to foster sustained peace dialogue so that, the communities themselves prevent conflict spillover from neighboring areas without GISRA intervention. This is observed, that in a recent time where, there have been, violence throughout the country related to the Orthodox church issues, and the Dodola sustained peace groups have, prevented any tension and conflicts that happen in Dodola because of they are taking ownership to that.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Yes, I'm at the end now. So open discussion is very important, and it is in the lesson as well. Also, what is important, professionalism and dialogue is very important. Train them professionally, community involvement, all aspects, all segments. Trust building is very important. Yeah, there have been resistance to, to be engaged in dialogue groups from some, even the religious leaders at the beginning, but through, persistent effort, they are now, prime advocate in their communities, and resources are actually a challenge that hinder the ability to extend similarly to neighboring districts. And with this, I think I'm done with the presentation. I have a video.
Okay, I will try to show the video. Actually, do you mind, Yilma, if we hold the video until the end? Because we're running a little bit late on time, and I want to make sure every speaker can present.
I can, yeah. We
Is
can
that
proceed
okay?
to the next. Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
Excellent work. And I do have one question for you. Oh, I think there's a lag. Sorry. One question for you, Ilma, which is, can you describe the ways in which you saw the conflict continuing and rising in adjacent counties compared with Dodola? Like, can you describe how you saw the contrast between the peace that was sustained in Dodola versus what you saw in the neighboring counties? Can you describe it sort of qualitatively? How did you know that there was a substantial difference?
Thank you. Yeah, these areas, this neighboring, I just off the video to get strong connection. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So the district areas, neighboring zones of Dodolas, there have been, destruction of churches, mosques, these religious institutions, and there is also, conflicts between the Muslim and the Christians, and also high tension among, the link with the government institution among the faith group followers in such zones. And there are numbers of, a lot of people killed due to the conflict that arises based on, the political issue, which is linked to Orthodox Church in the last couple of months or years. So what happened were there most of the areas in Ethiopia, this tension were escalated. But in Dodola, even there is no issues of the tension things that happen in this small town, because these sustained dialogue groups often discuss the coming conflicting issues, and see what will happen and come up with their own solution for many issues that happened. But in this case, there is no spillover effect in Dodola because of the conflict in other areas, due to the sustained peace dialogue groups preventing it, to surface in Dodola.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And now I invite Ms. Henning Parland to make her presentation. Are you able to share your presentation, or would you like me to do that? You can, okay.
Yes, I can share my presentation.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. In Jakarta now it's heavy raining. So nice to meet you all in here. I will present my Eco-Binika Muhammadiyah. So, thank you so much for the time. I present for the Eco-Binika Muhammadiyah, a strategic approach, resilient, peaceful, and ecofeminism to motivate communities' action. Case study for our work in Muhammadiyah, Eco-Binika Muhammadiyah Indonesia. So maybe some of us is understand about what it means, Eco-Binika, but I still put here to give the information to others.
Huh?
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay, I'll get an Uber. It's fine. Okay.
Okay, so I will continue. So I put here the program is called the Eco-Binika Muhammadiyah. So the Muhammadiyah initiate the program at building to strong and inclusive interfaith community to support freedom of religion or belief to our environment and climate justice approach. So the eco is come from the word ecology, which means interaction between living things and other living things, and also with the surrounding of the environment. And Binika or uniting diversity is come from evolutionary values, namely Eco-Binika Tunggal Ika, which means that even though we are different, but we are still united. So we partners and consortium, the same with the two speakers before. We are a CISRA as consortium whose members consist with various faith-based, interreligious, and others organizations who together work encourage the realization of freedom of religion. Or we live in 7 countries like Ethiopia, Iraq, Kenya, Mali, Nigeria, Uganda, and Indonesia, within around 10 organizations. And we have always one time speaking per year. So we are like a big membership in the CISRA consortium. In Indonesia, CISRA is managed 10 of the institutions that work in here in Indonesia between Faith to Action Network, mentioned and Lizzie in the consortium. So we have a new organization that work in Indonesia. Muhammadiyah is one of the local partners implementing CISRA in the Faith to Action Network. That the consortium which have officially in Kenya, Africa, to implement this, Muhammadiyah collaborate with the National Asia and also Fatayat in Nahdlatul Ulama in West Java, and sure the young leaders from Muhammadiyah organization. Our approach is 3 things: the intra-religious, inter-religious, and the extra-religious. So our strategic approach is based on our approach to resilient, peaceful ecofeminism with motivate communities action on environment. And here, interfaith community has been formed into 4 religions. In Pontianak, the name is Sahabat Eco-Feminist. We call it SEGA. In Surakarta, Central Java, we call Sederek Muda Eco-Feminist or a young family Eco-Feminist. And Ternate is partner of Eco-Feminist or TK. And Banyuwangi is among or anak muda Eco-Feminist Belambangan. And the four places that form from co-religion, it is not only the Muslim, but it is the community motivated in each of the location. From the example from Pontianak, that's majority is from the Buddhist. From the Surakarta, it's majority from the Christian. But we are the partner and the family is not only one or two, but many religions consistent in Islam. I put here many lessons learned. Number one is how the strategic approach to religion. In here, we put about the, we start with the books of the environment and preserving the environment. So this book seeks to mobilize of you of the community with the spirit of it. So in this book, we can see six teaching from the six religion in Indonesia about the peace building and about the environment. So we connected about the peace building and the environment in the one book with multi-faith. So many religious communities is also can open about the contribution from the multi-faith in this book. For the resilience, also we working together. That is from the Eco-Feminist youth camp. The name that is camp from youth community in Kawang, West Java. If we see the youth camp like here, that is the many a young leader that they have camp. As we start with to understanding about the how peace building developed by them and how they are becoming a change leader. So after they are becoming a change leader, how to maintaining tolerance, care to sustainability, and also how they can put action. The first is together, but after this, they can make it action for each of the participants. The next is about the youth multi-faith action, beach cleaning action. At the Ternate, North Ternate, that is tourism thoughts that very interesting in the Ternate because majority in Ternate is location from beach, and that is at the first time they are very hard work how to approach the government. How do you think that they sending letter to the local government until around 20 times? No, 40 times all the local government, but it's still did not any response and they didn't give up. And by approaching up to now, the local government is very love with the young community from the Eco-Feminist Muhammadiyah Internate because of they see about the action. They see about how they tolerance and they see about how they have a spirit, a good spirit to make it a model for young spirits in the alternative. The next is that is interfaith students to clean the river. That is like the Gen Z together. They are to minimizing of the plastic and keeping river cleans. That is at the Banyuwangi. The name is Besuk Sungai. Besuk Sungai, it's like coming and say hello to a river, but after this, they checking the water. And after checking the water together with the expert, they are going together how to action. And they have some the activities like cleaning waste from water, discussing the local government, podcast, and others. And also, the Eco-Feminist Banyuwangi is have a fun camp. So they have a camp together around 50 participants from the multi-faith and environmental activities is from the Nasiatul Asia, and also the community from the Eco-Feminist Blabangan in Banyuwangi. Next, number 2 is strategic approach to a peaceful. And here is more how we're building peaceful in our program. Number 1, we have training and we collaborate with the Ashoka Foundation in Indonesia. The name is the Spiritual Inspired Changing Making Initiative, or CICI, that is attended by 85 participants from multi-faith. And after this, we have a coaching clinic, we have mentoring, and also we have collecting action. And the great news after 1 year, so in this month, we collaborate with the Ashoka Foundation to make it a modules how to spiritual inspired change maker initiative become more and more. We develop modules together between Eco-Feminist Muhammadiyah and also Ashoka Foundation. And the others in the West Sumatra, so we have the event between Hindus communities because of the Hindus communities have a big praying. So our community is coming to the temples, but after this is also coming a solidarity to others worship. So from the temples is also to churches, from the churches is go to mosques and others. So with this, we ensuring that the community can understand about the peaceful. And also the peaceful is not only the serious, but also that is the cycling to religious sites. So we have the cycling together, and in the cycling, and here the head of the government in the provincial level of the West Kalimantan is join this, and after this we are also planting the trees. So the activities is not only fun of the cycling, but after cycling we are we was planting the trees in many or various worship. And also we have a student exchange. So with the student exchange, that is surprise because we got the many good impact. For example, some of the students didn't see like, oh, I just see that the Islam is like that. I thinking before that the value of the Islam is more to spiritual, but I didn't know that the Muslim is also humanist. But the another person also said, oh, we just know about the Buddha, we just know about the Christian and others. So in here, the peaceful is we got it from the event. And that is the RPG that we have. And also that is the CG, and that is the approach of the ecofeminism, the strategic approach to ecofeminism. And thank you very much for your all the support, because we got the information from our college in Jakarta, from one of the donors, that they will continue our strategic approach to ecofeminism to support us in a more than 1 or 2 years, and we just still continuing the conversation with them and get the approach from the government. So like in Indonesia, if we will work together with the some donors, also we should be get the approval from the government, and that is a finish, and we will continue. So why the another support or another donor is see about the opportunity with us, because of in here, like in the Surakarta and others, we are not only working with the men, but also majority also a woman, and also we are working with disability group. And we here is like creating campaign tools how to make plastic waste and also how ensure that they are a part or joint participant in our work. So you can see here that we didn't sit on the chat, but we sit on this floor because some of the participants here that they are disabilities, and we ask them how you are more comfortable sit, how you are comfortable to speak. So we try to include and inform with them about they are thinking and also they are feeling. And another this, we have also in the Banyuwangi that some of the peoples and the participants in Banyuwangi also many peoples from the disabled group. And we also working with the diversity. What it means the diversity here, that we working with the ecofeminism, that the ecofeminism came about the frame of the diversity. So the Muhammadiyah in Indonesia, Islam is not only Muhammadiyah, but also Muhammadiyah, Nahdlatul Ulama, versus many organizations that sometimes the government didn't accept with this. But with our program, they are coming with us and talking together. And just last week, they invite us also in their big ceremony in the one of Islamic organization that usually the government sit with this. But Eco-Feminist, with them, we are very closely friends. Another days, we have also a training and also the student case. Okay. At the last of the list, our research. Number one, with collaboration. In the Muhammadiyah is strengthening collective resilience by leveraging diversity religious perspective to address environment and social challenges. Why we put the social challenges? Because of in each of the context, there is different context between many places. So address the environment, yes, but also we put about the social challenges depends the context. Number two, motivate approach is foster peaceful coexistence through dialogue and collective action. So it is not enough that only dialogue, but also the collective action. And turning the religious diversity into a source of strengthening of the communal harmony. The third is empowering women in the Muhammadiyah community. The ecofeminism leads to more inclusive and equitable environment governance, enhancing sustainability for. And integrating religious values with environmental sustainability in the Muhammadiyah initiative demonstrated that motivated action can effectively contribute global sustainability. So thank you very much, and feel free if you have any question or any input. Thank you so much. Back to you, Karen.
Thank you very much, Henning, for this thrilling presentation. The work that you're doing is really impressive. It is extremely challenging to integrate these issues. And for those who are participating in this session, no, thanks to you and to your colleagues for all your good work. For those who are just joining the session, in case you didn't know, I believe, and correct me, Henning, if I am wrong, but that Muhammadiyah is one of the world's largest Islamic organizations. And so with more than 30 million many more than 30 million individual members. And so the ripple effects and replication effects of this work are profound. And so I thank you for that. Yes, do you want to speak? Let me
Yes, that is agreed, yes.
Super, thank you. And Pearlie, may I check with you? Does our session end in 7 minutes or in 23 minutes? My understanding is
the session is supposed to end in 7 minutes because it's supposed to end at 30 minutes past the hour.
Okay,
and I
thank
think
you.
we're drawing close to that, but maybe we might extend because there's a short break before the next session. So we'll have a few minutes extra.
Thank you very much. So then without
Sure.
any further delay, I will turn over to Martine Miller. Would you like to share your presentation?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'll share my presentation. It's been a pleasure to sit and listen to the different presentations. So I've enjoyed that a great deal. Let me make sure that I've got the right presentation for you all. All right, what I am going to do is I will be speedy and just share very quickly so that we're sure that we end on time. My name is Martine Miller. I'm the president of the International Center for Religion Diplomacy. I'll share a little bit about the center and then get into some of the findings that we have, and I can also share my PowerPoint for others that are interested. International Center for Religion Diplomacy was established by Doug Johnston. He was a nuclear submarine captain for quite a long time, ended up working in the diplomatic space and realized that the role of religion in diplomacy and peacemaking was vital. Our mission is to bridge religious considerations with global peace building policy and practice. And we envision a world in which religious and spiritual values advance peace and reconciliation and community building. And one major important reason for this, and I think the first day of PeaceCon, one of the first speakers really amplified this, was religious convictions influence the values and needs of over 85% of the global population. And it's a key aspect of many people's lives. And so it plays out heavily in day-to-day lives and identity. It can be utilized for peacemaking, but it also can be utilized as an identity conflict fault line to create conflict. So that's where we work. We work in the diplomacy space. We work in very nuanced spaces. For instance, ICRD was involved as the key actor. If anyone had, anyone recalls the hostage taking of Korean hostages in Afghanistan many years ago, ICRD negotiated their release, for instance. We've worked on Kashmir, an array of different country and contexts. We've worked since 1998 in over 90 distinct programs and diplomatic efforts globally. Some things you might not hear of what we've done because it is something that's happening in the back, rooms and trying to negotiate key, very specific things. But it's really looked at kind of that religious angle of things and how religion plays a positive role in this space. With this work, one thing that we've really focused on is, because of a major lesson learned, the role of women of faith actors in peacemaking elements. Many times, what we found is when we discuss women in conflict, we often encounter two polarized narratives. On one end, there's a portrayal of women as victims, isolated and vulnerable and helpless. On the other end, with recent coverage, highlighting women as formidable warriors in conflict zones. Yet amid these extremes, the stories of women of faith who are deeply engaged in conflict resolution are frequently overshadowed. And that's what I want to amplify quickly today. These women operate at the intersection of faith and peace, striving to mend societies where identity has been exploited as a fault line. Historically silenced, their voices are now rising in prominence, and I'll share a little bit about their stories, and their actions speak volumes. These women embody courage in its truest form. They confront conflict not with weapons, but with unwavering resolve and compassion. They are unsung heroes, demonstrating the best of humanity and offering invaluable contributions to global peace efforts. As we navigate the complex trajectories of today's conflicts that we're seeing in the world, it's imperative that we recognize and support their vital work. And in this presentation, I'm honored to share with you lessons learned and stories of these remarkable women from Afghanistan, Tibet, Burma, Thailand, Sudan, Yemen, Syria, name any conflict dynamic. In the United States, you will see that women of faith are in the backgrounds of those, making incredible efforts and incredible strides. Their resilience and dedication illuminate a path toward peace, and their voices deserve attention and support. So I want to highlight that. I'm going to give two examples here. This is the case of Burma, where women have been involved in really standing on the front lines of stopping conflict and violence against communities. I welcome you to look up these two key, or these key women in the Burma space, because they've stood at the forefront of trying to mitigate violence against the communities. And I wanted to highlight them here. Another colleague of few of many is Fatima out of Iraq. She's been key to working with young people that have been brought into armed forces and working very closely with them to encourage peacemaking, and also working with communities around gender dynamics where domestic violence and violence against women has been quite heavy. And she's, a shiro in all of these spaces. So just to highlight a few of them in the context, I want to get in very quickly, given limited time, on what some of the key findings have been. One thing that we found, because we work across a lot of different country contexts based on direct request, we found that women are trusted community leaders. Women of faith hold a space that is unique. For instance, in Afghanistan, women have been able to negotiate specifically with the Taliban in spaces and communities because they were perceived as trusted community actors, and they were pious, and they weren't confrontational as possibly a male counterpart could be. They hold a moral and ethical influence. They advocate for inclusivity. When we've done research with women and worked with them, what we found is women negotiate for their communities, not for themselves. So they're negotiating for access to education, access to healthcare. They're cutting across division lines. So we have highlighted the importance of how they've advocated for inclusivity and addressing broader level types of conflict dynamics. They understand cultural and religious understandings in a way that is quite unique, and they're able to broach those divisions based on understanding those contexts well. They're often survivors of conflict, so they've had a deep level of intricate knowledge on a personal level and have become more dedicated to these spaces. One thing is they've really amplified regional and global networks. So for instance, you've probably heard of like FemWise in Africa, where FemWise is a network of women mediators across Africa. There is one in ASEAN now. There are progressive developments of women networks where they work across their communities, but they also work across the region. And then they link up to the global level because they realize geopolitics is vital. And they think on strategic and long-term commitment to peace. One reason for that is frequently these women have been marginalized in their communities over time. So efforts that they seek to implement are very strategic because they have to take into consideration their maneuverability in these spaces. And so that's been one of the key findings as well. Again, strategic and innovative solutions. They're working in spaces where they've got to find different ways to function. Again, they bridge divides. Northern Ireland is a specific case where women came together, women of faith and different actors came together, formed a political party, and they bridged conflict divide lines because they knew that they had to come together to work and be at the tables. Southern Thailand is a perfect example of that, where women across different faith communities have come together and worked on education, healthcare, keeping their children safe. So they bridge those divides to be able to build faith and peace across their communities. They're very good at grassroots mobilization because they understand their community. They have a resilience and adaptability. They look at more of a holistic peace building approach where they're thinking, okay, what is it that the community needs more broadly? What is it that their country needs more broadly? And how do we come together as actors on a regional scale more broadly? They often work as role models. Oftentimes, if a woman's in these spaces, they're more critiqued, and we all know that. So there's not a lot of space for mistakes. So women play a very strong role and take a very focused role in ensuring that they're positive role models for the community. An important thing on this is they work very closely with youth movements, which is significant. So we know that there's the Women, Peace and Security Resolution. There's a Youth, Peace and Security Resolution now. And then women actors and women of faith actors and youth have been working very closely in that space to better understand it and learn lessons from each other to be able to function together and better. And then progressively, women of faith are looking more at influence on policy. I think that if anyone was involved in the morning session at USIP, where the participant from Northern Ireland was speaking, I would encourage you to go back and review that, because she talked very much about the role of faith, the role of women in these spaces, and influence around engagement and policy. So those are some of the findings that we found. This is based on many years of work on working very closely with women of faith actors in a range of countries that have been impacted by conflict. We're now doing more even within the US domestic space, given the current polarization dynamics within the country. That's, I think I'm going to go ahead and end there, so that because I know we're at 7:30 already. But thank you all.
Thank you very much, Martine, for your presentation. It's a very nice overview with lots of good examples of the work taking place around the world. This has been, for me, a very profound and incredible session. And I know we've just scratched the surface of the excellent work that is being done around the world. And our speakers have done a wonderful job of highlighting the importance of religious actors, women as religious actors, and women as leaders in their faith context and in their local context, and their work with the environment to reduce conflict and build peace. The work that you're all doing is fantastic. I applaud you. I know that all of our participants applaud you. Thank you very much for your time today and for the work that you're doing outside this session. If anyone needs to be in touch, please do not hesitate. I've put my contact details in the chat. Feel free. I'll be happy to serve as a liaison for any of the speakers or find a way to get answers to questions. My apologies, we started late. People had difficulty joining and we're a little bit late joining, so we started late, and I'm sorry we don't have much time for a live Q&A. Let me ask you, Pearlie, do we have any time for a live Q&A at this point, or must we finish?
I don't think we must finish. We can take 2 or 3 questions, then wrap it up. Hoping the questions are not lengthy though.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes. If you would like to ask a question, I haven't seen any in the chat, please raise your hand. Do you know how to raise your hand using a Zoom call? There's a reaction button, and you can press the reaction button to raise your hand if you would like to ask a question. I have questions, but are there any participants who would like to ask? I have a question that could go to all speakers, actually, but probably more Henning and Yilma and Judy. I have noticed that in work on peace building and freedom of religion and belief, there is often a reluctance to address issues of women's rights and gender justice. And my question for you would be, what do you find to be the most effective strategies for addressing that reluctance, for overcoming that barrier and that challenge? Do you have any lessons for us on that tricky issue? Henning?
Yes, I will answer your question. It's very important, because how to approach them, the relaxation team. So in our listener in Indonesia, so the approach at the first approach is always like shy to meet, but the dialogue at the first and the important is about to meet up. So it is not only just say hello by phone, but we should be keep in touch and meet directly, introducing one by one, step by step. And after this, after a long time, to make understanding with the value of it. After this, we can work together. That is fine.
So it takes a long-term commitment to continue to work with people, as peace building work does require also. Okay, Yilma, I see your microphone is off. Do you have an answer for us?
Yes, I want to say that, in Ethiopia, for example, through GISRA project, we have, Women of Faith Network at national level, and which goes to down at the donor level with chapters and groups where, different women from diverse religious groups come together for dialogue, for capacity building. so that, such local structure will, continue working in addressing women issues, gender, especially GBV issues. For example, in a recent time, we went to Somalia, Muslim areas, where, FGM and child marriage is very rampant. And these women under intra-level, under intra-pathway come and see the various issues that really trigger, women, girl child to go through to undertake FGM issues. They come up with, action pointers to do in the future to address, to stop this female genital mutilation, which is really affecting many girls in their area. So we have local structures where we have provided training, capacity building, sensitization. Even women now come up with their own action point and, submit concept notes to do, various activities for the GSRAP program. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Judy or Martine, would either of you like to, Judy, would you like to address the issue?
Yeah, I can add just on what Henning and Yilma have said. One of the strategies that really work when having conversations on, gender equality and rights of women, especially with religious communities, is on inclusive faith literacy, where you take religious leaders and senior religious leaders within organizations, you take them through a value clarification process and a reinterpretation of religious texts and practices within their institutions. And you jointly, take them through this process where they now begin to interpret their own biases. They begin to interpret stereotypes. They begin to interpret norms that are existing within their institutions. And you come up then with, supportive religious texts so that they're empowered to challenge these harmful traditional norms and practices within different faith communities, but also in addition to that, working with women themselves to be able to feel empowered to, speak out against some of these norms that they are experiencing within their communities.
Oh, that's an excellent summary, Judy. Thank you. Martine, would you like to say something on this topic?
I would echo Judy on that. I think one thing that we see in conflict settings is that space opens a little bit for women engagement when there's conflict. And so if you look at the case of Libya, when there was a lot of conflict, then there was more space that opened, but there's a point to where that space retracts very strongly. You see that in the case of Afghanistan right now. And it's working very closely with women that have stood up. They're usually the first movers, supporting the first movers that are in these spaces, helping them generate critical mass behind them, critical voices and those that are in support of them, and then making sure that space is open. Burma is an excellent example. Women took a lead in the Burma space, men followed behind. And if you look at the Burma dynamics, one thing that happened at a certain time was men started wearing red lipstick in support of women and amplifying their support of the women peacemakers in those spaces. And so I think it's finding those ways to make sure that there's not like that snapback where women are pushed out of these spaces and it becomes more restrictive, like the situation of Afghanistan.
Yes, thank you very much, Martine. And so with that, I suspect I should conclude this session. I will just say that, so maybe as a closing thought, I think you have all made very clear that, in a world where women hold up half the sky and 90% of people around the world consider themselves religious or faith affiliated, there is no way to it would be foolish to not work with promoting women and faith actors in peace building. Again, feel free to follow up with any of the speakers directly for further discussion, or if you want, I can help facilitate that liaison as well. I thank you all. I thank you, the Alliance for Peace, and I wish you all a wonderful day.